Hi and welcome to Techniques on Tuesday. I'm Debbie Yeomans and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I want to share with you the faux stitching technique. There are a number of different ways you can do that with a piercing tool and a few other bits and pieces. So let me show you how I have done both of these cards. So some of the tools you will need is a piercing tool, a piercing mat, and if you have templates they're good. If you don't, you can always just use a ruler to help you get straight lines. So to create this card, I'm using a watercolor paper, and I've already done a watercolor wash on it, and I've started some of the lines around the some of the piercings around that already. So I'm just going to finish doing my border for this one. Okay, just get that lined up and finish doing my, so I'm just piercing some holes through with my piercing tool, and then you've got the little holes there, and then I'm just using a Stampin' marker, and I'm just going to draw from one little hole that I've pierced to the next, dragging my marker through them and giving me a stitching, so just like a running stitch. So you just keep going all the way around like I did, and that is how I've created the border on this one. Now there are a number of different ways you can do your stitching. So you've got a blanket stitch, you've got a running stitch, your cross stitch, zigzag stitch. You can even do freehand stitching just without doing the piercing with your markers. So let me show you how I did a couple of those. So for the blanket stitch, I've just drawn a line from the dot to the edge of the cardstock, like that, and then switching to the other end of my marker, just running a marker line across the top, and you've got a blanket stitch happening. To do the running stitch, like I did before, was just putting the marker into each of the holes and running it along, and you get your running stitch. And then you've got your cross stitch where you're just doing your crosses from one to the other. So they're just easy rows of holes evenly spaced apart. For the zigzag one, you want them to be alternately spaced apart in 2 rows, so you've got your zigzag stitch. Now if you don't have one of those piercing mats, you can use a ruler and your piercing tool, and you just have that nice and straight. And in this case, just piercing, oops, moved a little bit, piercing at half centimeter intervals to get my holes for my stitching. And again, you can do whatever stitching you want to do and how many holes you want to do, or you can just freehand it, so you can just do a running stitch like that. And if you want to get it straight, you can use it up against a ruler, and then you've got your cross stitch that you can do again up against a ruler. So for this next card, I'll be doing the cross stitch in the middle of the card, and so here's one that I started preparing earlier, but I did use the ruler to pierce my holes this time. So I've just lined up centered it with the half centimeter marks, and just pierced 3 rows at half a centimeter and moved it up, making sure that I keep it nice and straight in line. So I've got my 3 rows, and then using whatever color marker you want to use, just do the cross stitch pattern in the cup. And that is the result for the faux stitching. And we actually, a lot of our dies you can get with the faux stitched in it when you cut out your die. So we've got a number of different dies that already have the stitching in a die background for you. So you could even do it that way. So that is faux stitching. So have a go at that. Lots of different ways you can do it and different ways that you can create the faux stitch look. Thank you for joining me today.